Hey, we're alive. Here we go. Thank you for joining us on a Thursday evening, and a beautiful Thursday evening it is. Welcome to Caching in the Northwest. You know, this is the only podcast from the birthplace of geocaching in the great Pacific Northwest. Each week, we're going to talk about caches and cachers from here and all around the globe. Mic check. So while you're throwing your hat in the air like you just don't care, we'll be caching in the Northwest. And you know, we can't do that till we bring in our graduated gorilla. Some say he spent an entire weekend soaking in instant oatmeal. And others say he's a personality donor to the less fortunate. All we know is he's called Land Monkey.
Well, they certainly are less fortunate when I donate some personality to them. That's definitely true. Can't argue with that. Hey, good to see you, buddy. It's been a couple of weeks.
It has been. You've been traveling a bit. Good to be back home.
It is great to be back home, but it's great to be back on the show. And it's great to be back on the show with our good friend, Chris Rockchalk, who's joining us for the first part and maybe even more of this exciting episode. Rockchalk, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Oh, thank you. It's always nice to chat with you guys.
It's always nice to be chatted with.
Otherwise, you're those strange people at the party that stand along the wall.
Yes.
Wait, yeah. I think I am one of those people.
Or you're the dogs playing poker. That's even stranger. All right. So yes, we've got a favorite returning guest of the show, Rockchalk here. We're going to talk about the excitement of the announcement that's come out of HQ this past weekend. And a little later in the show, we're going to bring in the Geo Woodstock 18 planning team and talk about that because, oh my goodness, there's just so much to talk about. But this is excellent. We're very excited. We also, before we get going, want to remind folks that we appreciate the support of our patrons who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week. I got to meet some of our patrons when I was down in Texas last weekend, which was always so fun. I love meeting with our patrons and even our listeners who aren't patrons. It's also great to meet up with you folks and talk with you. But in particular, I want to thank Landsharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor, and remind everybody that if you want to know more about supporting this show, click that Patreon link on the cachingNW.com website.
Website.
That's right.
Well, it's time for the thing we all love. It's the glow. That's the geocaching log of the week. Whether you read it, whether you wrote it, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. Send an email or field recording.
You can feel the recording if you're really.
No, we don't want to hear you chewing. No, that's different. A field recording to feedback@cachingNW.com. Call into 253-693-TFTC or use the voicemail tool on the website and show us how you glow.
Excellent. So who's reading the glow tonight?
You know what? I'll do it.
Okay.
This comes from, well, the inventor of the Glowventor. That's Dora Moore. She attended the BCGA and MVG meet and greet. She says in her email, "Hi guys, I was at the BCGA event today when they made the announcement about Geo Woodstock 18. Now, I knew what was coming, so I got to watch the faces of some attendees. I'd like to submit my entry as a glow. It perfectly summed up what I saw in the face of a longtime cacher in this area. There was a lot of excitement in that small group today. And I'll let you know that Dora Moore got our exclusive glow badge of 2019 for this entry."
Nice.
Her log reads, "Great news and a great event for sharing it with everyone in spite of the weather. I particularly enjoyed seeing the look on Graffinator's face as it slowly transitioned from, 'Is this a joke?' to 'Are you kidding?' to 'You're not kidding, are you?' to 'Wow!' Thanks, Kev MacD, for doing the hosting honors and letting me take your hat from you. I'll wear it with pride. Let the planning begin.
Very cool. So yeah, for those who might not know what that's all about, there is a very small number of people up here who knew about what was going to be announced before it was announced. And we had asked a couple of them to host events, one in Greater Victoria area on Vancouver Island, and one in Abbotsford, the city that is going to be hosting Geo Woodstock 18. But we didn't say what the event was for. It was just a meet and greet with the BCGA and Metrovan geocachers, and come on out. And then I live streamed the announcement from Texas, and they played it back at the events. So that was kind of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's what that was all about.
Now, we tell you every week, you can send a field recording or you can call into 253-693-TFTC. Do you know what? People do that from time to time. We have a recording from Billy Robson that we're going to play right now.
Hey guys, Billy Robson here from Alberta. Just thought I'd let you know what's happening. Managed to get my 20,000th cache at a webcam in Washington, D.C., Scott Circle, GCN21R. Got it about a month and a half ago. Didn't have a chance to let you know as I was in Europe at the Giga event in Hamburg. GC 77777. Great time. Looking forward to coming out there next year to see you guys. Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you for sending that in. Apparently we had some trouble. Not everybody was able to hear the recording well, but we'll talk about that a little bit in the after show.
Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we do this? In the after show, you can play it back at a louder volume. Just so
there we go.
We don't use up too much more time now. But I do want to ask something. When Billy Robson, first of all, when he said it was his 20,000th milestone, all three of us here on the show, I could see our faces like, wow, impressive. That's pretty awesome. But Rockshock, when he said which webcam it was, you nodded. Like, you're familiar with that one?
Yeah, actually, as he said it, I think, hey, I've been there before. And so I looked it up to see when I found it. It was November of 2013. And I was wearing a jacket that I really liked. And I kind of was sad for a moment because I love that jacket. I don't have it anymore. So it was both a fun memory and kind of a sad memory.
It was a bittersweet moment for you.
That's right. That's right.
That's funny.
That is funny. And hey, and congrats, Billy Robson, if you're listening to this episode, which we hope you are, whether live or recorded. And congrats. That is an impressive milestone. That's a pretty cool cache to do it on. And it's Rock Chalk approved. So there you go.
Nice.
Isn't it funny how when somebody says the name of a cache that you found, and that it will often bring back that memory immediately? I mean, I haven't thought about that cache in quite a while, but as soon as I heard Scott Circle webcam, it just took me right back to it.
Yeah,
Isn't
no,
it funny how the memory works? Yeah.
it's
Do you
triggered.
guys navigate by geocaches in your town? Oh, you want to go to that store? It's over by.
Sometimes, yeah.
You know
Depends
that
how memorable the cache
by...
was. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So normally at this point in the show, we would go into news, but I mean, this whole show is news. So why don't we just move into it? What do you think?
I think we ought to. In case you didn't hear, maybe you're living under a rock. There was some big news from Geocaching HQ this weekend. And for those not quite lucky enough to hear about it from Annie herself at Geo Woodstock 17, Rockjock, you're here to share it with us live right now.
Yeah, drum roll, right? Yeah, so next year on August 15th, 2020, we are going to host the Geocaching 20th anniversary celebration here in Seattle. It will be at Seattle Center, home of the Space Needle. And that's the main stuff that we can say right now, but it will be part of, I guess, 8 days at least of really exciting geocaching stuff happening here in the Northwest, of course, with Geo Woodstock happening up there in BC on the 22nd, and then the Going Ape event the day after the 20th anniversary celebration event. So you've got 3 really big events happening in 8 days within, I mean, 2.5, 3 hours of each other when you I guess when you count the ape event, it's a little further east, but certainly within travel distance. And we expect that a whole lot of people are going to be here, and it's just going to be, we think, a really exciting couple of weeks for geocachers.
Now, it's been a while since you've done the geocaching block party, but this is kind of that on steroids.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And that's why we decided to have it at Seattle Center. Seattle Center, for people that aren't aware of what it is, well, if you know what the Space Needle is, and I think most people in the world probably do, it's such an iconic structure. That's where Seattle Center is. Seattle Center and the Space Needle both were opened for the World's Fair back in 1962. And it's about a 75 acre entertainment complex. So the Space Needle is just one thing that's down there. There's the Chihuly glass place. There's there's a couple different museums. It's a really big space. And as much as we loved having a party in Fremont, like we did for several years, we felt like, of course, there's no way to predict exactly how many people will come, but it will have been 5 years since we had a big event here in Seattle. And we expect the event, Geo Woodstock up there, and the ape event, that a whole lot of people are going to come. And we just didn't know if Fremont was going to be able to handle the influx of people. So we think Seattle Center will give folks a lot more chance to spread out and have a little bit more room to move. And as much as there will be a lot of great geocaching stuff going on, it's also, as I just said a few moments ago, there's a lot of other stuff too, like the Space Needle, like the museum stuff. And then downtown Seattle isn't too far away. So if you've never been to Seattle before, this is a great time to come, not just for the geocaching event, but because you'll have proximity to so much of the other great stuff that there is to see here.
Exactly. And August is a great time to come to Seattle. That's the height of our summer. So it'll be.
It's absolutely true. The water spigulates right around now, which it has, and now through September at least is usually really great. So, of course, I say that people will remember the last block party in 2015, which was basically the birth of what GIF has become now, because the big GIF film event was rained out when it was going to be hosted at Gasworks Park, not far from HQ. And I don't think I've seen a rainstorm since then like the one that night. I mean,
I was expecting HQ to just get washed into the sound there.
Seriously, it was nuts. I mean, I hadn't lived here for very long before then, but I hadn't seen rain up until then like that. And I don't think I've seen it since. It was just a one night thing, and it happened to be the night of GIF, which of course turned out to be kind of a happy accident, because we ended up kind of changing the way GIF was handled, and that's the way it's been done for a few years now. But anyway, yeah, we're awfully excited about it, and it's just going to be a whole lot of fun. I just kind of hate that it's over a year away and we got to wait until then.
Yeah, there's that. But it's also nice to have a little time to plan. I'll just say that.
That would be good, yes.
Now, speaking of planning, there was another bit to the announcement that Annie shared, and it's sparked a lot of discussion. And it was a bit of an announcement of the possibility of the return of an icon. Do you want to maybe just sort of round that conversation around for folks?
Well, yeah, what I can say right now, we're going to wait until we have the cache page ready to go into all the detail about it. But as Annie said, what we're hoping to do is use some form of the Lost and Found celebration icon that was only available the one time back in 2010 when the big event happened here in Seattle, the event that eventually turned into the annual block party. But that Lost and Found celebration icon was only available the one time. And what we're hoping to do is to use some form of that. But we still have some technical stuff that we need to work out, and we want to kind of get our I's dotted and our T's crossed before we make a wider announcement with a whole lot more detail about how that's going to work. But that's the hope. And our intention and our plan is to have something available here in the next month or so. So we know people want to see the cache page so they can get their Willetins logged and all that stuff. And what we're aiming for is sometime in the next month or so to be able to have that published, and we'll make an announcement when that happens.
Great.
Nice.
I see that we have a question from GSMX2 about the icon and how it relates to Lost and Found. But I think, Chris, what you've shared at this point is about what we're going to know at this point. So we're just going to say, hang tight.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do. And like I said, we'll make an announcement and we'll have the cache page. And then when we publish the cache page, we'll go into the more of the detail about all that stuff. But right now, all I can really say is, like I said, that our hope and our intention is to use some form of that Lost and Found celebration icon again, so people will have another shot at it.
Yeah, I know there are people who've started geocaching in the last 10 years that, it's fun to get a new icon. So that'll be nice.
Well, or a new old one.
Yeah.
They have a chance to get this icon.
Exactly.
It just sits there and mocks them because they didn't make it that one time.
Right. For those of us, well, like myself, I started playing in 2011, so I just missed it, and then of course many more folks that have come since then. So we know it's something that people are very interested in, and like I said, within the next month or so, we should be able to answer those questions for them.
Thank you. Now, people are really excited to come and experience all this. What should they do if they want to be kept up to date?
I think the best thing to do, a couple of things. One, I would say keep an eye out on social media, on our Facebook and Twitter channels, and then on the geocaching blog and the geocaching newsletter. Those will be the places that when we have the cache page ready, we will disseminate that via those channels. And then once the cache page is published and folks have logged their will attend over the course of the next year or so, we will make it on the cache page when there's big stuff to share, and also through our social media and blog and stuff like that. So but until the cache page is ready, as you're waiting for it to be published, I think the best thing to do is, again, watch the blog, watch Facebook, watch Twitter, and the newsletter. And we'll make sure that we're covering all those places when we've got that ready to publish.
Very cool. Now, speaking of people being excited, and obviously this is all very exciting stuff and people can start planning ahead. I have already heard some folks referring to that 2-week span as the hashtag mega trifecta. Now, without anybody getting ahead of themselves on this, how big is HQ preparing to have this 20th anniversary celebration in Seattle be? I mean, you've got a pretty big venue. That's like several city blocks of a venue.
Yeah, I think the venue. Yeah, I think the venue is probably the best indication of how big we're planning on it to be. We've done all kinds of speculating around the office about how many folks we think might turn up for this event. We're going to plan for the high end and gear our planning accordingly, whether it be obviously the venue, Seattle Center, that was a nod to how big we think it will be, but also, of course, we know a lot of folks are going to want to come and visit headquarters, and so we're going to come up with, I'm sure, some sort of a system similar to what we did with the last block party in 2015, where there was a ticketing system. I'm sure we'll probably have something similar this time around. So we're definitely going to be planning for big crowds and hoping for big crowds. That would be a nice problem to have.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. There's another question from GSMX2 that he's wondering if the attendance warrants it, would you get a Giga icon for this, or is it just going to be whatever the new icon is going to be?
Yeah, it would be whatever the new icon is similar to, or the new old icon, similar to how when we had Block Party all of those years, it was always the Block Party icon. I haven't gone back and looked at the numbers lately, but I would assume that it probably could have been a Giga. But it is the icon of that it is. So again, assuming that we use some form of the old Lost and Found Celebration icon, that's what it'll be. It wouldn't become Giga or anything like that.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I think you can only give one icon to something. So,
right. So I don't know. We'll keep an eye on Geo Woodstock and Going Ape, I guess, for those possibilities. But it's going to be really interesting, and I'm sure that it'll be interesting to hear Jay, you and the Land Sharks folks talking about Geo Woodstock later in the show, because I'm sure you guys are looking at the same good problem to have in planning for these hopefully really large numbers of cachers from around the world coming to celebrate 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, no, we'll talk about that some more. But before we do that, and before we bring our other guests in, Rockjack, is there anything else that you want to share, reinforce maybe where people should be following HQ, just to make sure people find out about the 20th anniversary celebration in a timely manner?
Well, the first thing I would share is just how excited everybody is, all the lackeys at HQ. It was a lot of fun to watch the announcement at Geo Woodstock in Fort Worth, how excited the folks there were to hear about this. But I have to just tell you how excited everybody in the office has been. We announced it internally just last week too, and folks there's been a lot of chatter about it, and people are really looking forward to it. There's a lot of people that have joined the company since 2015 that never got to see a block party. So, so some of us that were here for at least one of those has been kind of telling them, you haven't seen a party till you've seen a big, a big party here with all these cats. So that's the first thing, is just how excited everybody is about it. But again, keep an eye on our Facebook and Twitter. Keep an eye on the Geocaching blog and on the weekly newsletter. We will be hitting all of those outlets with the news when the cache page is ready to publish, and then folks can log their will attends, and we can start getting a better idea of how many people are going to be coming.
Awesome. Well, and for folks who already have their will attend on the Geo Woodstock 18, I will guarantee you we will also send an update to all those folks through that medium as well.
I should log my will attend then. So
then you'll know.
So I can be totally covered. In case I miss our own announcement.
Well, hey,
you are going to go, huh?
Well, I don't know. When I heard Jay was involved, I was like, but I like the Land Sharks people, so I'm thinking maybe that will outweigh any concerns that I might have about Jay.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Unless Jay lets me stay at his house, in which case I might just say right now, I might just make a promise.
Well,
Jay, are you ready to make that commitment to me?
I can tell you Rachel's invited.
You'll put me in a tent out back. Right?
That's right.
Well, if you listen to Geo Gearheads earlier tonight, we invited everybody to the Land Monkey's house.
Oh, good.
Great.
It's going to be a huge party then.
Free to come and camp in their yard, eat out of the refrigerator, use the driveway. So,
and there's plenty of caches near their house too, which is really convenient.
Exactly.
He didn't actually. I say that. I think they're near his house. He told me he lived nearby when we were caching there, but for all I know, he was lying and we were nowhere near his house. But he told me, he's like, yeah, we just live right down there when we were caching. I'll bet we were in a totally different part of town than where he actually lives.
He lives in Ontario.
Well, all Canadians, we all know each other, and yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, Rockjock, thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to stay connected or leave if you have to. We completely understand. But we need to move on to another subject. So, friends, wait no longer. It's time now to connect with faces and voices and you recognize. It's the hosting team for Geo Woodstock 18.
Hello.
Welcome,
Hello.
you
So,
guys.
so we have
Hello.
Chris and Helen of the Land Sharks, and we have Christy of the Geo Travelers.
And we got Jay in there too. Land Monkey.
And,
He's one of
and
us.
we have Chris from HQ, and we have Chris of the NorthWest. So,
But maybe what we can do is, if Christy, Helen, or Chris, one of you want to just quickly run through our executive team and who makes up.
Well, I should do that out of the show notes. Chris, you want to speak to your role? I'm Helen. I'm with the Land Sharks, and I'm the lead on our team.
I'm Chris, Land Sharks. I'm looking after financial matters and a lot of the technical stuff right now too, the website development.
And I'm Christy of the Geo Travelers, and I'm going to be generally in charge of a little bit of everything, operations managing.
Awesome. And of course, myself, Land Monkey, Jay, and my role is primarily around media relations, but also, as Christy said, a little bit everything, just wherever I'm needed.
Yeah, that's the way it kind of works with a small team. Everyone has a role, but you all do whatever's needed.
Yeah,
exactly. It's cross training. That's a good thing. That's what organizations are moving towards.
Yeah. Well, it's a cool team because we all have a lot of good skills, really good skills. Some we overlap, some we don't, and it's really great to work with this group.
Well, I consider you all friends. However, you've been holding out on us.
Yeah, we have.
You've been keeping secrets and making plans and not telling us. So I can't imagine how hard this secret has been to keep. How long have you been working on this as a team?
Well,
we've kept the secret since we got the announcement for almost, seems like 2 months, I think. Yeah. And yeah, it was around April 1st or so, just shortly after, and it was no joke. We were hosting Geo Woodstock, but and that's been really tough because with our office here, we have people walking in, and all of a sudden you have to take papers and turn them over and stop talking, and oh my gosh, it's been tough.
It's the other thing though is we put a bid in to compete for Geo Woodstock because it's a competition process. So we actually have been keeping it quiet since May last year when we really started thinking about doing this, because to be honest, it's a competitive advantage to keep it kind of to yourself so that anybody else that's bidding doesn't know what your strengths and weaknesses might be. So so we've been keeping it pretty quiet for a year or more.
Yeah. Last May, I got an email from my sister who used to be our admin assistant when she was in college. She was studied sport management and communication, and she worked with us part-time. So she's now working for the Richmond Oval, one of the Olympic venues. So she's now there as one of their coordinators of events. And she sent us an email last May 2018, and said, I'm working at this great venue, and it would be just like Island Spirit. You guys could host a big geocaching event here, and maybe you should think about it. And so that kind of planted the seed, because we said, how big is it? And she's like, well, she'd been to Geo Woodstock with us. She said, you could even hold Geo Woodstock here. It's that big.
It's actually not big enough.
It's not. Now that we've got started, we realize it's not as big as we'd like, but the dates weren't available. And so we were looking at May and July and the traditional Geo Woodstock weekends, and they already had pre-booked big volleyball tournaments that came in every year. So the 2 weekends we wanted were a no-go. But by that time, we'd already gone down the thought process enough that we thought, maybe we could do this. Let's explore this a little bit more. Maybe we can find another venue. Maybe we can put together a team. And so then we found the Trade X in Abbotsford. And I think it might have been Brylang that suggested that place. I can't recall, but it came up as a place to look at. And Jay came on board last summer. And then in September, when we were down at GeoCoin Fest, we talked with Brian Roth about some collaboration and support. And what did he think of the idea? And his big thing was that he knew what he was going to be doing with the 20th, and he kind of, hinted at that. But he said it was really important to him that people didn't have to choose between one big event over the other. So he was hoping that we could find a way to make it work so that even if people came over, on a Saturday, they could go to one event, spend the week the next weekend go to the other event, fly home. So with like a week off work, you could do 2 great big events and celebrate the 20th and Geo Woodstock. So then we chose our date to collaborate with Geocaching HQ's 20th celebration on August the 15th, and crossed our fingers that the Geo Woodstock elders would go for that, being that it was in Canada and it was a different date than usual. So we kind of just stuck our necks out and said, what the heck, if it's a go, it's a go. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yep, that sounds pretty familiar. I think that's pretty much how we were feeling about it when the bid went in. There was a lot of work putting that bid together, but it was awesome.
We have a story about putting the bid together.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you jump into that?
It has to do with a sea day that we didn't expect. Christy.
So yeah, we were on our Caribbean cruise back in January and ran into bad weather, couldn't make it into Turks and Caicos. So we looked at each other and we said, all right, well then let's work on the bid. We're all 4 together here, which doesn't happen often. And so we went to my cruise cabin, and my kids were up on the top bunk just playing away while we were sitting most of the day, just going through all sorts of different things that we needed to think about. That was fun.
Oh yeah, it was really fun for Steve and Laura.
Yeah.
That's all right. But yeah, it was. And I don't know. I've never heard of anybody else who was on the cruise with us, because there was 70 other geocachers coming along on that cruise. If anybody ever at any point was like, what happened to those guys? They all just disappeared.
Yeah, we just sort of vanished for the whole day.
You became seasick.
Yeah. And then we had another marathon session over here in Victoria. Jay and Laura came over, and Christy, who lives here in town, that was great. So we all got together at our place, and we had about a 10 or 12 hour meeting that day and went through the draft and just fine tuned it all. I put a lot of energy, a lot of good thought into it, a lot of collaboration.
Yeah, I would just say if anybody is thinking about putting a bid together, it's a lot of work. So prepare yourself. It's not just a lot of work to put on the event. It's a lot of work to make sure you've got a good quality bid as well. So yeah, there's definitely that. So before we continue any further, let's make sure everybody understands where this Geo Woodstock is going to be. And perhaps one of you guys can tell us about the date, the city, describe the venue a little bit, and maybe we can even touch on the region.
Sure. Well, so the date's August 22nd.
Yeah.
Make sure I get that right.
Hey, Chris, write it on the back of your hand. That works.
Well, you had the GC number on the back of your hand, right? There it is.
But yeah, I did in Texas. I wrote it on my hand because I did not want to get it wrong.
So August 22nd, 2020. And it's in the city of Abbotsford, which is in the Fraser Valley. But the event really is about the region. It's not just about Abbotsford, but about the Fraser Valley. And so the venue itself is called the TradeX. It's located at Abbotsford Airport, and it's a massive, massive building that we're gonna deck out. And Jay and I were actually there. Was it yesterday? It was yesterday, wasn't it?
Wednesday, yeah.
And yeah, we just did a presentation. So the TradeX is run by Tourism Abbotsford, and so they had the tourism sort of leadership, hotel leadership, and
media,
and they did sort of a press release locally because they were super excited to have this event. And so Jay and I did a presentation partly about Geo Woodstock itself, and actually we introduced them to geocaching because a lot of these people had not heard a lot about geocaching. And then we talked about Geo Woodstock and the economic benefit of having a large event in your region, like bringing all these people and just sort of getting them excited and on side with regards to hosting people from around the world. So the event is going to be really cool. We have a theme. It's all about exploring and discovering and connecting with fellow geocachers in the footsteps of gold seekers, lumberjacks, and explorers, because the Fraser Valley, the history of the Fraser Valley is all about these things. So there's a lot of the forest area just in the mountains. There's a lot of logging, historically a lot of logging. It was also sort of a crossroads for exploration and for the gold rush. So as people would come up from say San Francisco and so on, they would they would provision in the Fraser Valley in various places, and there was a lot of trading happening there with the First Nations, and then they would head up to the Klondike and so on from that region. So there's a lot of the old history around that sort of stuff in the Fraser Valley. So it's a really neat place. It's a beautiful area with sort of surrounded by mountains, but it's a wide expanse of farmland and with little pockets of history and the Fraser River running through it. It's a really stunningly gorgeous area. So I'm sure our visitors are going to enjoy it. Anything else about
the Fraser River? Yeah, there was gold in the Fraser River too. There's a gold rush there, and jade, BC jade, is found in and around the Fraser River.
You can still find jade if you're lucky around Hope when the river's low, which the river will be low at the time when we're doing.
Yeah, and you go just a little bit past Hope, and then you're beyond Hope.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I had hope once, and then we left.
All right, Mr. of the Northwest, do you want to take the next one?
So I know we're going to ask this several times, but how will people make sure they keep current on everything that's in the planning for this huge, I'll use the term epic event?
Jay, do you want to take some of this, or do you want me to?
That's a communications question.
Yeah, no problem, guys. So the first thing that we're encouraging people to do, if you are planning on coming, if you think you are probably going to come, then go to GC86 Victor Delta Foxtrot. Foxtrot. I don't even know how I said that. Anyways, the log your will attend, and then when you're on the site, the cache page for the event, there is a big blue icon you can click on for subscribing to our newsletter. And that is going to be the primary medium of communication we're going to use as the newsletter. So we really encourage people to sign up for it. Then once we start getting those publications out, which will come soon, you're going to get all the key information. You're going to get little bits of information about the area, about the venue, and about what's going on with the event planning. So that's probably the best thing to do. And of course, we've got a Facebook group set up for folks to get into the community group and ask questions. There's lots of BC cachers who already are parts of that or are a part of that Facebook group. So they're in there answering questions. We've already had a few people asking questions like, "Oh, I'm coming, I'm going to come for Geo Woodstock, but I'm also coming like in a few weeks. And what should I look for when I'm caching in the Fraser Valley?" And folks are already putting that kind of info, which is great. The other thing is there's going to be a website, and we have been working. Chris alluded to it earlier that he's been putting a lot of work. We all four of us have been putting a ton of work into the website, into the content, and it's going to be fantastic. It's going to have everything you need to know about planning your trip for Geo Woodstock is going to be on the website. Now that is going to be the traditional geowoodstock.com. If you go there right now, it's still Geo Woodstock 17 because the committee allows the current hosting city an extra month or so just to wrap up everything that they're doing and get last announcements out. So that's going to be in there as well. But yeah, so watch that stuff. And then the last thing I'm going to say is our other social medias, Instagram and Twitter. We've got those already. The account's set up. It's Geo Woodstock 18. You can follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter.
That's the number 18, 18, right?
Right, it is. Yeah, absolutely. Although if you're searching and you search for XVIII, the Geo Woodstock 18 will come up on the search. We've done some prep work around that, but definitely at Geo Woodstock 18 is where you go to find all that information. Did I miss anything, guys?
We're going to have a YouTube channel up.
We do have a YouTube channel.
Already, we do have a YouTube channel up.
Yep.
With not a lot of videos yet.
Well, it's got one really good video that gives amazing highlights of the Fraser Valley of all the different things you can do out there. So there's one up so far, and there's more coming. Yep.
So the video that is up there, actually, we used it in our bid document to give people from around, the U.S. who are making the decision to give them a sense of the area, and it's a really professionally done video. It's really cool. There's one other little announcement that we want to make. Our little announcement is a great announcement. And so we didn't hold out on you completely. I think we had a chat a little bit before the release date. And we're pleased to announce that Caching in the Northwest has agreed to be the official podcast of Geo Woodstock 18. So we're really thrilled to be working with you guys, and that's awesome. We're really happy about that.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how we negotiated that deal.
I don't know. It's insider maybe.
Yeah, perhaps.
I have a feeling I was just told about it. I think all the negotiation happened before it even came back to me. So, no, we're very honored. Thank you so much. You're a great team to work with, and this is going to be an exciting year.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. So we've got some questions from the chat that I want to throw over to my colleagues here. The first from GSMX2, he's asking, is it going to be an inside event?
Yes, it is going to be an inside event. And it is a gorgeous venue. It has air conditioning, whether we need it or not. Really good Wi-Fi with multiple channels, I think they're called. So vendors won't have to compete with participants. There'll be dedicated ones for vendors to use and organizers, and separate from the participants. And that's I believe we're buying out the Wi-Fi for the event. So we're going to have top Wi-Fi available at no cost. Yeah, and it's indoors. It's a gigantic H shape, like an H for Helen. It's an H. So
I think it's an H for the C, the H after the C and Chris.
Oh yeah, okay.
And Christy.
And Christy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're getting your own custom building for the event. It's that big.
It's almost shaped like a J if you take a piece of it off. So for J.
It's a massive building. They hold BC Outdoor sports shows in there. They have motorcycle shows, and in one weekend, we were told they had like 35,000 people come through in one weekend for a motorcycle show. So we're hoping it can accommodate what we have planned.
That's going to be tight, I think, for all the geocachers coming.
I hope not. In 6 days, we have almost 1,000 will attends. No, just yes.
What do we have?
Actually,
we have 1,000 yet?
5 days. Yeah, we're 950 or 60, something like that.
Rock Chalk was number 963.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, he should have held out just a little bit longer to try and be number 1,000.
Yeah.
Like a milestone, right? Anyways.
Exactly.
Hey, we've got another great question from the chat, and it's a comment, but I'm going to turn it into a question. And Christy, this may be in your area, but whoever wants to chime in on it, please do. It's from Dora Moore, and she says, I hosted an event yesterday, and people were asking if there were going to be more hotel and motel rooms available. Apparently, everything is already booked.
I can take that. So at this point, we're just too early. The hotels haven't actually released their space for next year. We do have our amazing travel agent, Tara, already on it, connecting with hotels about blocking space. So don't worry, hang tight. The information's coming once we get that beautiful website out in the public.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's great news. Thank you, Christy. Well handled. Thank you. Everybody calm down.
Okay. So there's going to be a hotel room somewhere.
Yeah.
You might need to get in early, but it's still too early right now.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We have another comment from the chat from RF Guy. He says, I nominate that in honor of Geo Woodstock 18 in the Fraser Valley, British Columbia, that the name of this show be changed to Caching in the Southwest.
Yeah. So we actually had some discussion about this because it's southwestern British Columbia.
Right.
But we were dealing primarily with an American audience from around right across the country. So we framed this as Canada's corner of the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, we're all in the same region.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
The Southwest.
We're all
Southwest. Yeah, you guys are in the Southwest too. That's right.
We're all
relative.
southwest or northwest of something.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
Trexer Zero wants to know, did the bid contain a good weather guarantee?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because
it's indoors.
It's indoors. It will not be raining indoors.
Yeah.
But I mean, the time of year we're having it, like Rock Chalk said earlier, you're never 100% guaranteed it's not going to rain. However, it would be highly anomalous if it did. So,
yeah, we're in a typically sunny time of year. It's not rainy season or anything in late August, mid-August.
Not at all. And we had another question from Catherine Woods: Is Adventure Smart BC going to have a booth? I guess that's a Helen question.
Yeah, Adventure Smart BC will be invited to have a booth. We don't have our vendor and sponsor packages ready yet. It's just too soon for that. But as soon as we do get them ready, they will be sent them and invited to take part. We would love to have them there and include them in as much as we can. They would be great to have as a vendor, like as a sponsor, also just doing educational sessions. If they're willing to be a speaker, that would be fantastic too. So those are all the things we'll be talking to Adventure Smart about. Maybe not as a sponsor. I don't know what their situation's like for that, but yeah, I really hope we see them there.
Absolutely.
Nice.
I see another question came in from the Supernauts. I want to hold on to that question. We'll get back to that in a moment. But first, because I think it relates to the actual question I'm going to ask next, which is probably for one of the Chris's. You guys can decide which Chris or Christy's going to answer this. But should people be planning kind of just for that Saturday to come up, or is there going to be a lot more going on?
There's definitely going to be a lot more going on. If you expand it just a little bit, of course, it's the 20th anniversary celebration in Seattle, and we recognize, of course, that there's a week between the two events. So there's the Going Ape event is going to be the following day. And then we're going to, as of the Tuesday, Wednesday of that week, there's going to be events and activities and things for geocachers in our region right through to the Geo Woodstock event. So there will be no shortage of things to do through there. So you're not going to sort of go to a couple events in Seattle, get bored, wonder what to do, and then go to the event, or even just decide to come for the day. Really encourage people to spend the week because there's going to be a lot going on.
So you're telling us that Saturday we'll have the 20th anniversary. Sunday we'll have Ape. Monday will be a travel day, and Tuesday we start Geo Woodstock events.
Essentially, there's going to be a lot of side events.
There are going to be side events. It's something we're allowing. There's time in there of people that are visiting the region want to go, find the original stash, or maybe go find some Jasmer caches in and around Oregon, or do some hikes.
Mm-hmm.
So there's time for that Monday or Tuesday, but there'll be things happening. That usually the side events that are farther away are the ones where you may not get as many people, so it's okay to do them in a venue that isn't massive. So maybe like a brewery event, like come out for a beer, or go out to one of the BC parks and maybe meet with a naturalist and learn about what you can eat in the woods that's safe, what berries are in season, what to eat, what not to eat. I think they call it trail edibles. So little things like that you can do for smaller groups earlier on in the week. Mm-hmm. So we're playing around with things like that, but we don't have any side events committed yet.
So not everything is going to be 1,000+ geocachers.
Kind of.
Well, yeah. That's one of the challenges, because we're looking at some of the venues and really neat things, and then you think, okay, well, how many people can you accommodate? It's like, oh, we can take like 50 people, and it's like, okay, how about 1,000 or 2,000? So it's kind of an interesting challenge, making sure that we find things that are scalable. So a lot of the commitments to specific events will take place as we get a little closer to the date, and we get a real good chance to see what the numbers will look like.
Yeah, and if people stay longer here, if they do come up to Canada earlier, or if they stay, after Geo Woodstock for a few days, they've got a bit of holiday time. There's places to explore farther afield, like the Fraser Canyon, which is gorgeous, Stanley Park, the city of Vancouver, Capilano Canyon, and there's lots and lots of great parks, places to go and see. They can also hop on a ferry. It's called BC Ferries, and head over to Vancouver Island, and it's got to not mix up the city of Vancouver and Vancouver Island, but on Vancouver Island is the city of Victoria, and that is the capital of British Columbia, and that's where we are. And we have the Shark store here, Canada's brick and mortar geocaching store. It's open Monday to Saturday, and you can also go to the Butcher Gardens which a lot of people, world famous Butcher Gardens. And if you head up island, a couple of hours, about an hour and a half, Canada's most favorited geocache, Made in Canada is up there. Yeah, so there's lots to do.
That's at Coombs Wooden Shoe. Those guys are awesome.
Yes,
we love
yes.
visiting there when we go by.
Yeah.
If anybody's wondering, the GC code is GC2Y8Q8 for that one, and that's definitely, if you like unique, fun caches, you should probably put that one on your list for your Vancouver Island visit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool.
And the other thing is there's the Geo Tour that's there right now in Richmond. We don't know if they're going to renew it or what their plans are for it, but there currently is a Geo Tour in Richmond, BC that can supposedly be done in a long day, or it can be fit in amongst other things over 2 days. There's also a Richmond Dumpling Tour that I've heard is amazing for foodies.
There you go.
Yeah. And if you get to Nanaimo, which is on Vancouver Island, there's also a Nanaimo bar tour.
Yeah. There's no shortage of things for foodies or craft beer aficionados, or over in the Fraser Valley, we've got, I think, about 8 wineries, maybe even up to 10 now. So, depending on what you're into, and I can't even count how many golf courses we have. So depending on what you're into outside of geocaching, you can fill your boots, as Chris would say.
That's a great phrase. I like that. Yeah, there's plenty to do in the area for a snuggle muggle who may not be into geocaching.
Yep.
Or if you just need to fill a day for something.
There you go. So we had another question.
There's also, I just want to add one more thing.
Yep, go for it.
Within about an hour and a half's drive of where the event's being hosted, there's about 10,000 geocaches.
Oh,
So-
you can
so there's-
geocache as
You
well.
can actually go geocaching, yeah. So,
I might try that someday.
Yeah.
yeah, I hear it's kind of fun.
So we had a question from the Supernauts, which is a bit of a tricky question. It's going to be one of those ones of, we don't really have an answer. Stay tuned. I think is the answer, but I'm going to throw it over to my co-planners. And it's, are you hoping to have the GPS maze?
We don't really have an answer. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Thank you for backing me up on that. All right. Next question, and this is kind of a fun one too. Dora Moore asks, did they, and I think she means the Geo Woodstock elders, did they say why Canada was chosen? And if Geo Woodstock would be moving around to other countries from here on, as it's traditionally been an American event?
Are we allowed to say?
Pardon?
Are we allowed to say it?
No, I think that it's fair to say that we don't. It's not up to us, and we don't know if it's going to move into other countries. So I just simply wouldn't want to comment on that. There's been an undercurrent for a while of if a really strong Canadian bid came up, that they would consider a Canadian venue. And given that we've worked with geocaching.com to coordinate dates, it sort of made that honestly, that helps obviously, and so we like to think that on our own we still had a very strong bid. We know we did. Whether it would have beat everything else, I don't know, but.
I've been told that we had a very strong bid.
Yeah.
It was a very, very strong bid. They liked the experience that we had, and our professional lives, what we were able to put into the event from our experiences there and our skills that we have, and just what we were offering with the venue and the region. They just felt it was the best bid this year.
Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Brian Lang asks, for the Americans in the crowd, you save about 33% on all the prices you might see in Canada. So let's see approximate exchange rate these days. So, book that hotel in BC because it's going to be cheaper than if you're, down south across the border. And I can't imagine how much time it's going to take to cross the border in that week.
Yeah. I mean, we've got 4 border crossings within an hour drive of the venue. So that's not going to be a huge issue, but of course they're going to be busier than they would normally be. And I think I would just encourage people to come up and, well, of course, if you wanted to stay in the US and cross the border every day, that's certainly, you're entitled to make your own decisions. But I think your life would be easier if you just base yourself in the Fraser Valley and just enjoy what we have up here. If you're an American, your dollar definitely will go farther. And there's just so much to do. I think you'll just really, you don't want to eat time out of your day having to deal with a border crossing that you can spend geocaching or whatever else you want to do.
You may not be able to get all 10,000 of those geocaches if
you'll get
border
close
crossing for an hour a day. So yeah, you could only maybe get 7,500.
There you go.
What kind of activities might we expect during this Geo Woodstock?
So certainly you're going to see a lot of the traditional activities of speaker sessions. We're going to have kids activities. We're going to have the vendor booths. The Geo Woodstock event has come up with historic banners for each event that we actually brought back with us from Texas that will be displayed at ours. Alaska Airlines handled them nicely, which was amazing. Some new interesting activities that we're kind of having a lot of fun planning. So we've got a geocaching comedy magician. Some of you in the Lower Mainland may know of him, Magic Man. We're having a lot of fun talking about mascots, how we want to have a mascot petting zoo. So hopefully people don't take that too literally. Some people may know that I am a trackable human, so I have a trackable tattoo on my arm. And so I thought it would be a really neat idea to get some tattoo artists into the event, and maybe we can get some more trackable humans out there. So that's some of the stuff. Possibly dedicate a time for trackable humans to get together so that we can be like a gallery show. Others can come and partake in the fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're also going to have a genius bar. We've done this at some of the other large events we've had. So sort of themed sort of experts, I guess you could say. So that for an hour, if you've got questions about a particular topic, then there'd be somebody who really knows that topic well, and you could go and ask questions, and so the topics and themes would change throughout the day. So a genius bar.
That's cool.
And the adventure labs, we're definitely planning on doing adventure labs, but we kind of need to keep in mind that they're brand new, a little bit of a beta type thing. So assuming that they're in the same format that they are now, we did some down in Texas, they're a lot of fun. And so we'll definitely be implementing those, or whatever sort of variation on the adventure labs is in place at that time.
Helen, did you want to add some more stuff to that?
I'm just going to say what we've done at the mega events we've hosted before is that we have, as well as having geocaching vendors, we try and tap into the community to bring in some vendors from the community, some of the ones you might see at farmers markets and things, local artisans. And that's gone over really, really well at the WestCan events. So it kind of gives you a flavor of the community, and it also helps to support the regional economic development by inviting those people to come into target markets. If people want to get a souvenir or something, they may be able to find something right there at the event. So we have a variety of vendors.
Yeah, and I just want to also add, and Christy, I think, mentioned it right off the start of our extensive list of things that are going to be there to do on the Saturday, never mind the other days. But we're also really working hard to stay true to the traditions of Geo Woodstock. So we will have the keynote addresses to kick things off. We will have the closing addresses. Hopefully Monkey Brad will come up on the stage and do his thing. That'll be great. We are going to have the reviewers panel and all that kind of stuff that you would expect from a Geo Woodstock. We will also have those things, but we want to have, because we're planning for some scalability, we want to make sure that there's enough that everybody's going to have something interesting to keep them fascinated and enjoy. And of course, we'll have the group picture as well. I can't forget about that. We'll definitely do that. And
some kind of log place to sign your name. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but it is BC, so it'll be something logish. Good,
I was going to say, could be an actual log.
Could be a log. I don't know. We haven't decided that yet. So there's always something to sign. and we will have that too. And there's also, in the end of the closing ceremonies, all the GW, the people that have attended every single Geo Woodstock from the very, very first one, I think there's 6 of them left, they are always invited up on the stage and recognized. Yeah, so that's pretty special too.
Nice. You know, they take good care of the previous Geo Woodstock hosts.
Yeah, they do.
From what I've seen.
Yeah, well, there's previous Geo Woodstock hosts, and then there's also these people who have gone to every Geo Woodstock, and some of them are hosts, and some of them may have never hosted. But it's pretty special.
Absolutely. Now we've got some more questions here, but before I get into it, we've got a comment from Boomer over on the island, who's certain that they're going to convince HQ to allow them to pick their own trackable codes for their tattoos. And I say, good luck with that.
Good luck with that.
I would like Mother as my trackable code.
Oh, yeah.
Olive oil. Yeah. Okay. So we've definitely received a lot of requests already. We've been contacted by lots of different people who'd like to volunteer. And Dora Moore's already asked, how many volunteers do we think we're going to need? Well, we don't know an exact number. We know it's a lot. So we're very interested in talking to people about volunteering, about sponsoring, and about, as Helen was discussing, the vendors. We really want to have a nice variety in our Helen, what's the term that you use for our market area?
A trading post.
The trading post. I love that. So we're looking for lots of folks who are interested in being vendors there as well. And we really appreciate, and we're very humbled by the enthusiasm we've already received from the geocaching community around all those topics. Now, for anyone who is interested in participating in one of those ways, either a volunteer, sponsor, vendor, how do we want people to be contacting us?
So I'm going to just say that we're not quite 100% ready to take an onslaught of volunteers. On the website, we're going to have a section on the website specifically for volunteers. And so if you're interested in volunteering, you'll be able to go to that page, fill out a form, and that form will collect the type of thing you're interested in doing. It'll give you some options. It'll obviously take your name and contact information. And then we will kind of put that together and build volunteer teams out of that. You can the best way to know when this goes live and to stay in touch really is through the newsletter. So when you log your will attend, as Jay said, there's that big blue button. Press that, put your email address in there, and then you'll be kept up to date. And as soon as the site's live with that information, that'll be there. If you do have specific questions and they're not easily answered either by the website or by the social media, then you want to contact us directly about some particular topic, then you can send us an email at geowoodstock18, that's 18, @gmail.com. And then we're happy to converse with you on that. But I would say, don't send us an onslaught of emails saying, I'd like to volunteer just yet. Wait till that website's live. And then if the information you're looking for isn't there, then send us an email and we'll.
Yeah, but we will have a page specifically about signing up as a volunteer. So that'll definitely be there. So I guess our message is, if you'd like to volunteer, thank you. And just wait for the website.
We appreciate you. Chill.
Yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you, Jill. Yeah.
There's another comment I just want to quickly address that I saw in the chat, and I think it's a great comment, and we've got a good answer for it. And it was a little bit of concern about if the group photo is taken by drone. And one thing I can guarantee you about our event is that it will not be taken by a drone, because we are within 7 kilometers of an airport. So
we're within 770 meters.
700 meters of an airport. Yeah.
I think we're on airport property.
Yeah.
We are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there will be no drone. We are going to find some alternate ways to get the photo taken.
Maybe we can rent a helicopter.
We could rent a helicopter, or get a little plane to go up. Get a private plane to go up and take pictures.
We'll figure something out.
I'll take a commercial flight. Get a window seat. You guys got to be ready though at just this right time.
Yeah.
Well,
Chris, do you want to take the last one there?
I was going to say, guys, you have shared so much information. We appreciate you coming on this early. We realize you don't have everything worked out yet. But as geocachers, we're excited. And you can already see we want to help. Is there anything that you'd like to share maybe, talking about all this or anything outside of Geo Woodstock? Is there anything left outside of Geo Woodstock?
Well, there's one thing that I wanted to add is that when we were down in at other events, we often hear people talking about when they come to the Pacific Northwest to go to HQ, they want to go to Alaska. They're looking to see if there's cruises. And so we've been doing geocaching adventure cruises, taking people on cruises for about 4 years now. And so we've actually decided to do one to Alaska on August the 26th. So 4 days after Geo Woodstock. We did one a few years ago. We just went up to Sayward and back again, round trip. This time we're leaving Vancouver, going all the way up to Whittier, Alaska. And then there's an option to go on to Denali. So we're doing 5 days, a land portion afterwards as an option. So people could log a cache in Alaska. And we're also going to be offering a tour to the Yukon, because this cruise goes to Sayward as well. So we would be taking a trip up to, Skagway. We'd be taking a trip up to Carcross to the Yukon and logging a cache in the caches in the Yukon as well. So the dates for the cruise are August 26th to September 2nd, or it would go till September 7th if people want to stay and do the Denali portion. More information at travel.landsharks.ca or from our wonderful travel agent, tara.bradley@marlintravel.ca. And there's a few people we've been told have signed up for that already. So that's something we're looking forward to doing. We were talking about going again, and this seems like the perfect time.
I'm still laughing at you guys. Like, we're going to just finish wrapping up 2 years worth of effort and be absolutely exhausted. And it's like, oh, and then they're going to go on a cruise, but not to relax.
Cruise. Not only do you have to, get everything coordinated for Geo Woodstock, we're going to do a cruise as well.
I think it's
the cruises are relaxing though. They're a lot of fun.
They're a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
And I think it'll be amazing for people who want to have that opportunity that they can, if you can find a way to manage the time to be able to get to Seattle, and as Rock Chalk was saying earlier, just explore that amazing area, come up to the Fraser Valley, explore here, get over to the island if you can, Vancouver Island a little bit, get on a cruise ship, head up to Alaska. I mean, you can make the absolute ultimate geocaching Pacific Northwest experience out of next summer if you plan it.
Yeah, it could be 3 weeks. It could be amazing because there is time between Geo Woodstock and the cruise. If people want to spend 3 days on Vancouver Island, there's time to do that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, let me know if you do an excursion to Nunavut. I want to go.
That's a bit of an excursion.
Okay, it's on my bucket list. It really, truly is. I have a destination picked out and caches chosen.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, none of it's happening.
Is that going out of Churchill? Is that the way you would do that?
No. It'd be going up from. That's another show.
Yeah, we'll
save that. You got to tune into Caching in Northwest another day to hear about that.
Awesome.
Another day, we'll talk about none of it. Wow. Thank you guys so much. We look forward to future updates on the, geocaching's 20th anniversary celebration, Going Ape 2020, and Geo Woodstock 18. So, folks, we hope you've enjoyed this episode of Caching in the Northwest. It's been a full one. But next week, we've got another show. Yes, there's going to be more to talk about. Now, next week, we're going to step back in time and look at Geo Woodstock 17 and find out what happened there. The week after that, we are going to do with a chronophobia. That's writing.
That's correct. Good job.
Writing better logs with Keats 94, because TFTC or just a period, that doesn't cut it. That makes me angry. And you wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
No, we wouldn't.
June 20th, we're going to talk with JT Coffee about Going Ape 2019. There's one every year, and we're talking about this year's. And June 27th, can you believe we're almost halfway through the year at this point? Or more than halfway. Planning geocache trips with, go ahead and say it. Yes, Christy of the Geo Travelers. So as you're getting ready to plan your summer trips, Christy's going to give us some extra special insights.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. Yep, we sure are. That's awesome. Yeah, Christy's going to become another Green Jacket regular for us. That's for sure.
I'm going to just plug that because what you didn't mention is Christy's background. She's worked in the travel industry for quite a number of years, and she's helped us immensely, and she's very, very knowledgeable. You guys are lucky to have her around.
We think so.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Awesome. But yeah, that's a good point. Christy's not just talking about it because, she's done a few trips. Christy knows her stuff. So we're really looking forward to that episode 309. Awesome. And while you're all here, I want to take a moment to thank Landsharks, our corporate Denali level sponsor. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online or go in person and visit their store in Victoria, BC. They're open 6 days a week except holidays, and they ship online orders every day. We also want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters. That's Landsharks, JP's Geo Designs, Bounce, Limax, Team Squirrel, and WorldCaching.com. If you want to know more about supporting the show, click that Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website. It's in one of these. It's probably not above me, but it's either beside me or below me. All right, so click on that and you'll know all about supporting us. And you'll have the painful punishment of me reading your name at the end of the podcast, just like this. Broncos fan for life, Sprouter, Camp Clan, Tick, Magnet, Kev, MacD, Subway, Mark, Doramore, Dune Buddy, Kid Vegas, 19, Geo Nav Pros, Wino, Seattle, Acker, Doc, Billy Robson, Genies, Antaeus, Keats, 94, Trexer, 0, MC3 Cats, Kennel Barb, M Nerve, Wet Coaster and Greenword, Sege Hove, Al Robic, Keepers of the Cash Flow, and Highland Sky, and the Geo Travelers. I did it. Whew. I needed a few weeks off the show so that I could practice and be able to do this again, but I did.
You were doing your deep breathing exercises?
I was in Texas,
you know what's really
where
funny
it's more humid.
Is I'm holding my breath while you're reading it.
The suspense of it all.
Oh, I don't know why. We're silly people.
Yeah.
Hey, until next week, Land Monkey, you just had all that breathing, all that heavy lifting there of the verbal duties. But where can we find you on the interwebs?
Anytime I open my mouth, verbal duty. Yeah. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Periscope at LandMonkeyGC. And of course on Facebook, look for Land Monkey. And on the YouTubes, we've got regular episodes coming out every once in a while at LANMONKEY, Land Monkey on YouTube. All right, Chris, where do folks find you?
You know what's funny is I still see your wife's face now when you sing that.
Well, I could see her face because she's right here, but she's hiding.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura.
She says hi.
Yeah, I've been trumped by Laura. You know, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook at CachingNW, Instagram at Caching in the Northwest. You know what? Don't stop the car to write this down. Just head on over to CachingNW.com/hosts, read our bios, find all those links we just mentioned, and, well, a few secret ones that we may not tell you about. But most of all, we want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. We know your time is valuable and we appreciate it. Don't forget that you can be part of the show. Call 253-693-TFTC, leave us a comment, ask us a question, or be willing to drive us to events any time of the day or night. And of course, you can email us at feedback@CachingNW.com. Your support helps keep quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website and subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. Give us a thumbs up or a review. The show's produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2019 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, we ask you to stay tuned for
the after show.
See,
there he is. I've been wondering where he is all night.
Oh, man.
Dude, you just nailed that whole post-show, whatever credits, whatever we call that. You did a great job. Nice.
I felt like I stumbled over my tongue a time or two.
That's all right. Take the rest of the night off. You're good.
Okay, bye.
Awesome. So we've got a couple of passes.
If I don't hang up the Hangout, it just keeps going for hours and hours.
It does.
And you know what? Is no good. Is not good.
No, is no good.
Let's see. The first point in the after show is Starcasher says, I just checked my passport. It expires August 16th, 2020. So I guess he's not coming to Geo Woodstock.
Nah, can't let that happen. We need Starcasher there.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, Christy of the Geo Travelers probably knows this. You need to check your passport because if it expires within 6 months, some countries will not let you cross the border.
Yeah.
Why 6 months? That seems like a long time. I'm only looking to be here a week or less. Well, what happens if you get injured and you have a long hospital stay? Uh-oh. Now you need to be there. Yeah.
Now you've done it.
Check your passport.
There you go.
You got time to get your Nexus card if you want to make the crossing quicker.
Yep.
Is it just Nexus? Is there anything like on the southern border? Is it also Nexus down there?
No, I think it's global entry, and
Global,
I think
okay.
is the one they use for other entries into the States.
But yeah, if you're just, if you're an American looking to come up to Canada for Geo Woodstock 18, or you're a Canadian looking to travel to the US for the 20th anniversary event and going ape and whatever else, I mean, there's tons of stuff going on. Then yeah, that's the Nexus that you need if you're in Canada or the US.
Team Noltec says, have you considered a glow for the after show? It could be the afterglow.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Which is a good reminder. I do have to replay the glow or our call.
Why don't we do that before we take the next couple of questions? Or do you need me to take the next point while you get things ready?
No, let's see what happens.
Suspense. That's what happens.
Oh, you know what?
What?
Can't play a JPEG. I grabbed the wrong file.
Did you really? It looked great though.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Jay.
Okay. So GSM X2 says, talking about the Christy, your great suggestion of the trackable tattoo options, says I would have to be really drunk to get a tattoo. Well, the good news is there's some awesome microbrews in Abbotsford, so you can do both. Just don't drive.
Yeah, there's gonna be no regrets from this Geo Woodstock, is there?
So everybody listening needs to buy GSM ×2 of beer, and then we'll get them signed up for the tattoo. It'll be fine.
What's the worst that could happen?
You could let me pick out your tattoo design. That's the worst that could happen.
Definitely. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time.
Okay.
Hey guys, Billy Robson here from Alberta. Just thought I'd let you know what's happening. Managed to get my 20,000th cache at a webcam in Washington, D.C., Scott Circle, DCN21R. Got it about a month and a half ago. Didn't have a chance to let you know as I was in Europe at the Giga event in Hamburg. GC 77777. Great time. Looking forward to coming out there next year to see you guys. Keep up the good work.
There you go.
There we go. Sorry about that. It took me a second to figure out which knob. I forgot to feed that off the aux the aux port. So, okay.
So we also had a FATAS in there, and I didn't see who posted it. It might have been Brylang, but just that the BCGA campout starts tomorrow in Barkerville, British Columbia. If you haven't already planned to get there and you don't live in northern BC, that may take you a little while. You might be late.
It might be late.
But see, there's a campground reservation you can make now and just hold on to it.
Barkerville is nowhere close to Abbotsford. I'm just going to tell you that much right now.
Yeah, but in a year, does it matter?
So the British Columbia Geocaching Association is having their AGM. It's Sunday morning in Barkerville, British Columbia. Now, Barkerville is a really cool place to visit, but it's more than just a day trip. So
It was an old gold rush town, wasn't it?
it is.
It's one of the places that people went to when they provisioned at Fort Langley and headed on up the Fraser River.
Absolutely.
Barkerville. Yeah.
Brian, it's about a 9-hour drive, but that's 9 hours in metric, so it's much closer.
Yeah. Actually, a metric hour is longer than a
is it
imperial
longer?
hour. Yeah.
Oh.
That's because kilometers are shorter than miles.
Yeah, but you can drive faster. So
it doesn't quite balance out that way, Chris.
Oh.
All right. Hey, and I noticed Cache Canada is joining us. Wow, it is super late for you guys. Well, a lot of folks are staying up late with us, and I got to say, I really appreciate you guys who stay up late to watch us live. It's amazing. And Cache Canada said that they've been to Barkerville way back when they were 14 years old, and I was
3 years
Barkerville.
ago.
Sorry,
it was like 3 years ago.
something like that. Yeah. I was in Barkerville when I was a little kid as well, and I have great memories. I know
that explains it.
Mrs. Monkey has great memories of Barkerville as a kid. It's just one of those places that if you're going to really explore sort of the interior and the north of BC, it's a place to keep in mind on your list, because they've rebuilt the town quite authentically, and they have docents in costume throughout the town, sort of giving you the real Barkerville experience. It's neat. It's just a cool place.
Cool. Now I've got to go there. That sounds like fun.
Add it to your bucket list.
Okay. Barkerville, then none of it.
Probably on the same road trip, Chris.
It's more than 9 hours to Nunavut from Barkerville.
Hashtag geocache road trip. There you go.
Now that one I knew that it's going to, going to be more than 9 hours to none of it.
Yep.
Depends on how
Very
you
cool.
get there. Anyway, folks, we are running late. I am so thankful that you stayed with us. And until next week, get out and get caching in the Northwest.